Go Chundria, Chundria, it's Chundria Show.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to have relationship coach Pia Washington here today. Thanks for being a guest on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
Yes, you are. Today we're going to talk about how to jumpstart a stalled marriage.
Okay.
And you're the perfect person to talk to me today.
Absolutely.
This is what you do. You help couples and relationships all the time. So
That's correct.
Let's talk about you. Tell me about yourself and what's your favorite thing about being a wife and mother?
Okay, my name is Pia, and again, thank you for having me here today. I am a relationship coach and a finance expert, and I've also written several books on relationship and finances. And what I like to say is that I have proven strategies to help empower individuals and couples to attract the lives of their dreams from the boardroom to the bedroom.
All right.
And in doing that, I oftentimes think about people in my life that I'm helping, and I say, what makes me a good relationship coach? And I think that the one thing is that I learned at an early age, don't ever take financial advice from broke folks. And so we apply that same logic in our coaching practice, right? So my husband and I have been together for over 35 years.
Wow.
Yes, married for 25,
Okay.
together for 35. We were junior high school sweethearts.
That's beautiful.
And when I say we've overcome every single obstacle known to man, we've had to deal with everything across the board. And so I think that puts me in a little bit of a unique place. So I'm very passionate about relationships and helping couples and individuals as well achieve their relationship goals. As far as being a wife and a mother, I have 4 amazing adult children.
Wow,
And
you're
yes.
walking around here with 4 adult
4
children.
amazing adult children. Yes.
You go, girl.
Yes, and I think that the best part, I love everything, and I honestly do say everything about being a wife and a mom. I wanted to be the Black Brady Bunch. So I was like, we're going to have 3 girls and 3 boys, and I'm going to have, you know, Alice and the whole bit. But we stopped at 2 and 2. And I think the best part about it is the journey. And just watching not just my children, but my family, my marriage, and everything grow, because it's all a process. And watching it grow and develop over the years has truly been amazing. And seeing the little young adults that they've become and independent, and that's what we hope for.
Christmas is fun at your house, isn't it?
Christmas is always fun in my house. It's going to be even more fun if they give me some grandbabies soon, hopefully. One day.
I'm waiting.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Well, as a relationship coach, you consult couples and help them navigate through a very important responsibility in their lives, which is marriage. What are common issues that cause marriages to stall or become stale and boring?
I think one of the most common issues that I've found is that couples get into a routine. They get into a rut, and this causes them to stall. And I find that we get married, we go from home to work, work to home to work, work to home, and we get into this routine, and it becomes very mundane. And I think when you throw kids in the mix, you're like, I have to have a routine, right? They've got to go to bed at this time, we got to get them ready for school, and they become the focus. 90% of the time when the kids go off to college, if relationships haven't focused on, marriages haven't focused on themselves, they will fail.
Oh,
and so
I think like the empty nest time happens.
Exactly. And so I think that the biggest issue with the stalling out is that it just gets boring. It gets mundane, it gets boring. You're focused on the kids and the soccer games and the football practices and the homework, and then it's college applications, and there's all this stuff. And then they go off to college, and you sometimes look at your partner and go, I don't know, you know, we've changed over the 18 to 20 years.
Who are you?
Who are you? And what do we have in common anymore?
Right.
And do I really like you? What did I like about you? I'm not really sure. You go to work, I go to work, we raise kids. So, and I've been at every phase. Stay at home, work away, you know, all phases, with help, without help. And it doesn't matter. The key is to focus on it, because, you know, what we focus on expands. And if you don't focus on your marriage, it's a growing, living, breathing thing. If you don't focus on it, it will dissolve. And then the one other thing I always tell people is, you know, the grass is only greener on the other side if you don't water yours. So water your grass.
You don't have to worry about the other grass.
That's right. That's right.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
Marriage vows should be taken seriously, while intimacy, finances, and communication can be major flaws for couples.
Yes.
If a couple struggles in multiple areas, though, do they have a harder time bouncing back?
Absolutely, 100%. They have a harder time bouncing back. 1 or 2 issues they may be able to address on their own, but when you compile, especially finances, that is one of the key areas that we see that couples really struggle with. And it's not necessarily lack of finances or lack of money, but it's the different attitudes and behaviors toward money that I find that most couples struggle with. And so having said that, it really makes the case for having a relationship coach when you have multiple issues that you want to prevent them from compounding to the point of divorce.
Right.
And so, or even to the point of therapy, because there's statistics that show once you've gotten to the point to seek out therapy, you've probably gotten to the point where there's a lot of damage in the relationship. But if you seek out a coach, a relationship coach early, and it's no stigma attached to coaching.
And I like that key word you use, early.
Early.
Sometimes
early
people
on.
generally wait till it's too late. It's too much stuff in there now.
It's too much stuff, too much damage, too much hurt, and it's compounding. And so with coaching, I think you think about, athletes do it, actors, singers, CEOs and executives do it. And so now coaching is a great way for couples to kind of like, before it's broken, to kind of fine tune and say, okay, these are the areas that I can improve in. And these are the areas that we want to get a handle on before they get too far.
Absolutely. My gosh, you are truly an expert. How often do you find that stalled or stale marriages lead to divorce or separation as opposed to doing the necessary fine tuning? Do you ever get clients that are like, we tried that already, now we're coming to you?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It happens way too often. And I think, again, in our society, it's very much a microwave society. We want it now, and the minute it's not feeling good to us or it's not, right for us, we want to cut bait. So divorce is unfortunately too prevalent right now. And so people, they get into a situation where the relationship's stalled and they're like, I'm over it. Or usually it's one party, like it's either not always the husband, but it could be the wife as well. And she's like, I just don't want to, I want to cut bait. I want to get out of it.
Somebody checks out.
Yeah, absolutely. They're 100% checked out. And
you generally check out before you know you're checked out, or before you tell them you're checked out.
Exactly. And so again, sometimes it's like, ooh, it might be too late for this person.
And then you're in that routine, so it's like
maybe
you don't even know, or want to, like you said, admit that you've
had a problem.
Yeah, it's been 25 years, and I'm checked out.
I'm checked out. And I think as spouses, we know, as people in a relationship, you kind of know when someone's checking out or not. But I think that what's important is a couple things. One, there is obviously some situations where divorce is a necessary evil, right? We're not going to pretend like everybody should, focus on staying together. What's not for you is not for you, right? And so sometimes it does get to that point, but we also want to let people know that, love is never enough. It's not just about the love. You're not going to always feel like that early stage. You remember when you first got together and you're in the honeymoon phase, and we call it NRE, or new relationship energy, where you're just everything. You're so passionate and attracted to that person. And then about 2 to 3 years in, some people it may be like the 7-year mark, 7-year itch they call it, where it starts again to feel mundane or routine, and then they equate that with not being in love anymore. But really what it is that new relation energy is gone, and now you're going to the final phase, which hopefully you attach. Like, when newborns, I don't know if you have children.
I don't.
But newborns have an attachment phase, and if they don't attach or bond with a parent, they have issues for life. It's the same thing with your relationship.
Okay.
You have to go to that, from the passion and the excitement of the honeymoon phase to that attachment phase. And unfortunately, love is not enough. Physical attraction is not enough. We say there's 5 stages of effective relationships, and I'll just give them to you quickly. Won't have time to get into them today. But they are trust as the foundation, communication, commitment, accountability is a big one that people miss, and then intimacy. And
intimacy is last intentionally?
Is intentionally last, and intentionally because I can't truly be 100% vulnerable and intimate with you if I don't really trust you. If we're not openly communicating, if I can't bare my soul to you and I don't really feel like you've got me, I'm not truly, intimacy into you I see, into me I see, right? Like it's really the deepest level. And you have to be able to circumvent all those other things and navigate your way through those things. And not just in marriage relationships, but it works in every, business relationships, friendships, absolutely. You have to have that trust and that level of communication. Those two are intentionally first. And then you have to be committed, because if you're not committed to making it work, there's no point. And then you have to take accountability as well for your actions and understand that it's not always the other person, right? What am I bringing to this relationship or taking away?
Yeah.
And then intimacy, yes, and it is intentionally last.
Intentionally last, my goodness. What do you know? As a wife, you're the ultimate expert. What are some amazing ways to jumpstart a stalled marriage?
Okay, so
And how do you make it better than it was before?
How do you make it better? Okay, so
Because you said you've been through it all, so
I've
you
been
know.
through it all. I've been through it all, and so I have a really This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm getting excited. But I have a cute little acronym that's easy to remember. So my name is PIA, P-I-A, and so for women, especially wives, it's the P stands for play dress up. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean going out spending a whole lot of money. You know, let your budget and what your man likes determine, but men are visual creatures, and sometimes we just need to spice it up, change it up, switch it up, you know, flap it up, slip it, whatever. I just saw them in concert, sorry. But you have to change it up. Okay. You know, keep yourself together, keep it visually stimulating for your husband, and I think playing dress up is a way to do that, again, without spending a lot of money and, like, you know, going crazy. The I is for initiate. Okay. And as a wife, over the years, I know for myself, you know, it's easy for me to sit back and let my husband initiate sex and romance all the time. In fact, I expect him to initiate romance all the time. However, I have learned that it is also my responsibility to spice it up and to keep it interesting and, you know, plan those date nights. And it's not just sex. It's that romancing. It's that courtship that we had in the beginning when those new relationship energy feelings were, you know, going. And so it's up to us. Yes, it's up to us to kind of keep that spark going. We have never not had a date night on a weekend. Like, all through my oldest will be almost 30 and my youngest is 21, and they will all tell you, my dad said I married your mom, I didn't marry you. We will continue to date. We will continue to have date nights, and they will tell you that as grown children. They're like, yes, our parents did. Yes, they did. We made it a point to have those date nights. And then lastly, the A, and this one gets a little resistance from the wives, is always say yes to sex.
Okay.
And I know for some people, like I said, that I get a little resistance, and they're like, no. And I said, there's some exceptions.
Why do you get resistance, though? If you've been married to someone for 25 or 30 years,
you know what?
Why do you get the resistance?
Here's the key, and I have to break it down to them. Okay, I get that you can be sick sometimes. I get the fact that, you know, sometimes you might not feel well, or, you know, you just had a baby, for crying out loud. You don't feel sexy. Okay, there's exceptions. But generally, I think a lot of wives think of withholding sex as a form of punishment. And that is an absolute no-no. And so, you know, if I'm angry with you or if we've had an argument, I'm going to withhold.
And you feel like that's all the more reason to say yes.
That's all the more reason to say yes. And because, honey, listen, if you're not going to give it to him, eventually he's going to get it from somewhere. And I'm not saying that all men cheat. They do not. But I'm saying sex is a big part of a marriage. And as grown women, we need to be able to understand that that's not a good form of punishment. You know, number one, you can't punish a grown man. My husband's grown. You know, I'm not punishing him, you know, for anything. We may have a disagreement. He may have upset me, but we do not go to bed angry. Okay. And I do not tell him no.
Okay. And here we are, 35 years together. Think the lady knows what she's talking about. My goodness. Okay, well, it takes two to tango, right? So if it's one-sided, one person wants to make it work, other person does not. I mean, what do you do in that situation?
So that happens quite a bit as well. And one of the things that I really teach, especially the women that I coach, is that you have to focus on you first. In fact, first and foremost, and you can only change yourself. And so one of the things that I work with them on is being the person they want to attract is key. Because a lot of times, you know, we'll be so busy focusing on all the negative things with our spouse or our partner and, you know, all the things they do wrong. And it's like, okay, first of all, what do you do wrong? You know, I'm quick to say that, you know, neither of us are perfect, but we're perfect for each other. Like, we both have flaws. So I have to, again, be accountable, right? That one of those stages. I have to be accountable for my actions and my stuff. And then I have to be willing to work on my stuff. And inevitably, I find that when you work on you, the relationship as a whole has to get better. because, right, you're just improving one part of that relationship. And even in improving that, you make the whole relationship just a little bit better. And a lot of times your partner will follow suit. Right? You know, I know if my husband's growing and changing, or, you know, we read a lot of books, if he's reading more than I'm reading, I'm like, let me get, you know what I mean? Let me work on myself. He's in the gym, you know, a few extra hours a week. I'm like, oh, let me get in the gym. You know, it's like we encourage each other that way.
Absolutely.
And so, again, I think it's being the person that you want to attract and working on yourself. And then ultimately, that's all you can do. If your partner's checked out and they don't choose to join you in the journey or to elevate themselves, again, you can't do anything about that. But I'm a firm believer of the law of attraction, though. I'm really, really big on being the person you want to attract, and always highlighting, like I tell them, I don't want to hear about what he does wrong. What does he do right? What do you love about him? How about we focus on that? How about we're thankful and have gratitude about all the great things that he does, and you encourage that. And that's what he hears when he comes home from work every day. You know what, honey? Thank you so much for being such a good provider. Thank you for going to work. I hate that you travel, you know, every day, but thank you for doing that for our family. Thank you for sacrificing for our family. And see what he won't do.
I've been married about 5 minutes now. Just a few months. Okay. But one thing that I love, we got married June 10th, but one thing that I love about us as a couple is that we always thank each other for, we spend so much time thanking each other for stuff, like for everything. Thanks for food, thanks for my plate, thanks for this cup of water. Like, we spend so much time, and that's one thing, like, just listening to that is just, it's something that we never take each other for granted. Like, whether it's small, whether it is a cup of water, or thank you for passing me that. Thank you for throwing that away for me. We spent a lot of time. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Little, I mean, to the point where the other person's like, okay, you don't have to thank me for that, you know. I just think that's really awesome.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop thanking each other. Don't stop being grateful.
Don't stop being grateful, so that we can be sitting here talking about 25 years together.
That's right.
So I'm excited about your amazing 25 years, 35 years with your husband. Yes. Thank you for your coaching business. You're coaching all of us today. So thank you for being a guest on my show. This is absolutely amazing. You're an amazing expert.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Cosette White, it's a pleasure to have you on my show today.
Yes, thank you so much. It is an honor, a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited that we're here. You've been traveling all over the world speaking. Life's good.
Yes. I am the CEO and founder of My Financial Home. We are a global accounting firm. We specialize in accounting, taxation, and our main goal is to help business owners grow their business. I am a numbers person. I get so excited when it comes to numbers, but I just really love helping business owners grow their business and do financial planning and anything that has to do with numbers. My thing is, numbers are sexy. Math. You love numbers are sexy.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that. Why do you call yourself the financial physician?
Wow, because I was given that name, but I help individuals just take a look at their financial situation, gain clarity and focus, and then give them a prescription, so to speak, to get clear with their financial trajectory, and just help them, set themselves up for a legacy, to leave a legacy for the next generation.
Wow, you're amazing. As you continue to serve as an inspiration to others within the financial industry, you also launched a book earlier this year called Unveiling the Mask.
Yes.
Exciting. So what's the book about, and what was your inspiration for writing it?
So Unveiling the Mask, it's all about my life. It's my story. Ooh. Yes.
It's your story.
Yes, it is my story. I used to hit the stage and I never really told the true story of who Dr. White is. I would just give half the story. But I felt that it was time for me to really release and tell the audience who Cosette White is. It's a story about my life. I went through a marriage that was full of domestic violence, verbal abuse, and drugs, you name it. I was involved in it. And I wasn't the user, but my ex-husband was the user. And when I say domestic violence, I'm talking about black eye, hot water, 2nd and 3rd degree burns.
Oh my.
And so in the midst of it all, I lost myself. I struggled with the finances. I almost lost the home, and I ended up losing my job. And I never told that story. So when I say unveil the mask, I felt it was time for me to share that with the masses. And when I did, I just felt like a ton of bricks were relieved.
So it was more therapeutic for you?
It was therapeutic, and it was also helping the listeners, helping the viewers. And when I just started to telling that story, the real story, I began to see so many people just gravitate to me and say, oh my goodness, you're speaking to me, you're talking to me, that's me. And I never would have thought that that was you, Cosette. So just to help others, let them know that a successful woman like myself, you know, I've gone through it. I went through it, and I made it out on the other side. And that's why I say, you know, from welfare to warrior to now winning.
You are definitely winning. I want to talk to you today about manifesting financial breakthroughs. You are the numbers lady. You are the math lady. You are the finance lady. You are the finance physician. That's what you are. You know. So, who or what was the inspiration for your breakthrough to transition yourself from A to B? Like you went through so much, and then now look at you now. You're helping people all over the world with their finances.
Yes, I think the inspiration was number one when it all happened. My children were young. I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I wanted to be that positive light. I wanted to let them know that life doesn't mean that you have to be on welfare. You don't have to stand in line with an EBT card, and that there's light at the end of every tunnel. Another thing that's always been like a driving force for me, and I've rarely shared this with people, is that my parents were murdered at a younger age.
Oh, wow.
And so, yes, I always feel like everything that I'm doing for my mom and dad. I say that they're still watching me, even at the age that I am now, they're still watching me. But again, the inspiration were truly those 2 young children. I wanted to make sure that I was able to put them in a better situation than where they started out at a young age. Today they're spoiled.
I believe it. Oh my gosh. I recently read an article that says the majority of Americans would struggle to scrounge up $1,000 in an emergency. How often do you meet clients who spiral financially after emergencies?
Wow, I read that same story, that same article. There are tons of clients that I run into that have the same problem. As you know, I am a tax preparer as well, so I see the numbers with my clients. So to come up with $1,000, you would think that's easy to do. But to a lot of Americans, to a lot of consumers, it's not. They have to wait until that next paycheck, as I say, not a paycheck, but a paycheck, because you know, they're living paycheck to paycheck. So what usually happens is they're putting off something to take care of that emergency situation where they've already delayed at least 2 weeks. So I say to people, get yourself on track, get back on track, put a plan in place, but it starts with the mindset. I don't care what anyone says. Even my story, when we talk about welfare, it was about a mindset. I had to shift the way that I was thinking, shift the way that I felt about money, how I appreciate my money. And I think to those consumers, those individuals who don't have $1,000 saved for an emergency, it's about the mindset. And until they shift that mindset, they're always going to have that problem with not having $1,000 in the savings account. Maybe yourself, maybe me and others, it sounds like it's easy to come up with,
it's not.
But for some, it's not. You know, they're barely making ends meet. So I say take baby steps. Besides the mind shift, take baby steps. Put away $10, put away $20, and then gradually work yourself up. But, you know, we should have at least 3 months of savings.
Do you put a goal? Like, do you set a goal? Like, okay, if you're saying put $10, $20 away, which can be hard sometimes, you know? So, you know, do you advise someone to set a goal? Like, my goal is to get that $1,000 in my account. And
start small.
Okay.
You know, because if we set a huge goal and we don't make it, then we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Then you get overwhelmed.
Right, and then we'll never reach. So maybe just say in the first 3 months, start 3 months. Let me save $30. The next 3 months, let me save $60. And if I can increase that, then I will. But start small, especially if you're struggling and you don't have $1,000. But on the other hand, if you're wasting money, then you need to look at
your budget,
where you have that excess. Where can you put it? Where can you put that excess?
Which could be your savings,
which could be your savings, which could be your retirement, which could be saving for the kids' education. It could be a number of different things that we could be saving for instead of going out and splurging, but not really looking at the future, what's going to happen. We all have to retire someday, right? We all have to retire. And Social Security is not going to make it.
Walmart won't hire everybody.
Walmart, no. I don't want to work at Walmart, but no, they're not going to hire everybody. But listen, seriously, put it away to something like that. Put it away to your retirement. You know, the average person that I see with Social Security benefits is somewhere between $12,000 and $14,000. Now, I do see more, but that's like the average. You know, you can't live off. That's annually.
Right.
Annually. So just let's do the math. That's $1,000 a month. If they don't have $1,000 in their savings account, how can they live off $1,000? So just small little changes in our habits. And as you know, habits are one of the hardest things to change. It takes about 14 days to start reversing the negative habits before we start seeing some shifts, some changes.
You mentioned retirement. Men and women in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s are not preparing themselves for retirement due to an overwhelming concern for their current financial status, right? So what message do you have for people who feel like it's too soon to be concerned about their financial future in the long term?
It's never too soon to be worried about your financial future. You know, had I been saving in my 20s when I went through the divorce, and had I not been pulling out that money, I would have had something to fall back on. But I was in my 20s when I was going through this, my late 20s, thinking, oh, I have time. But time creeps up on us. So again, if you're in your 20s, now is the best time to start with the lowest amount possible, because the older you get, then you're going to have to start putting more money away, and you have a shorter window of time. Time is money, and money is time.
Time is money.
Yes.
I got that.
And there's that thing called compound interest. You know, the longer you have it in there, the more it grows. So my advice is pay yourself first.
Okay.
Pay yourself first. That's a golden rule. Whatever money you get, take some of that out and put it towards your retirement. I don't care if it's just $100. Make it a habit. Make it a purpose. Do it on purpose. I'm going to save $10 out of that. And
for my retirement, for the future.
For my retirement, for the future.
This is for my retirement. This is for my emergency fund.
Exactly.
Okay.
You have different buckets, different pockets where you want to be saving. And I guarantee you, if you start young and you do not touch it, then you will be setting yourself up for a great retirement. Again, back to Social Security. Who's to say that it's going to be around? And it's definitely not going to be enough to live off of. Right. It really, really isn't.
Unfortunately, that's true.
It isn't. And that's why we see so many older individuals coming together in old and golden years, as I like to say, and mooching in, you know, moving in together with one another, because they can't survive off of Social Security, and maybe they didn't save, they didn't have a retirement plan, a pension plan, or any of that with their employer.
And then now you're scrounging for that money all over again.
And then just think about those that are, you know, like myself, an entrepreneur. Those are the ones that suffer because they're not properly planning. But if you plan now, then it will save you a headache in the end.
Plan now, save the headache in the end. Yes. Like, that's amazing. Thanks for watching. Visit us online at chundriashow.com.